Welcome to a journey through time, where valor and strategy intertwine in the art of war. In this video, we will explore the 5 greatest wars of antiquity, conflicts that were not only huge in scale, but also had a lasting impact on the history of humanity. From the plains of Mesopotamia to the shores of ancient Greece, these battles defined empires and forged the fate of entire civilizations. Prepare to discover epic feats and military tactics that still resonate in the annals of history today. And before we dive into this bellicose past, remember to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any details of the grand narratives that are to come. Rank number 5. The Greco-Persian Wars. We begin our list with the Greco-Persian Wars, the series of conflicts that erupted at the dawn of classical history. These wars, which spanned from 500 to 449 BC, pitted two great powers of the time against each other: the expansive Persian Empire and the proud Greek city-states. The origin of the conflict dates back to the uprising of the Greek cities of Ionia, which were under Persian rule. The spark of rebellion ignited the flames of war when Athens and other Greek polises supported their Ionian brethren. The powerful Persian king Darius I was quick to respond, and thus began a struggle that would become legendary. The Greco-Persian Wars included epic clashes that have resonated through the centuries. The Battle of Marathon, where a considerably outnumbered Athenian army achieved a surprising victory, has become synonymous with endurance and courage. This battle not only marked a turning point in the war, but also inspired the famous run of Phidippides, giving rise to the modern marathon. But the saga did not end there. The invasion of Xerxes I, Darius' successor, brought even more dramatic battles. Among them the Battle of Salamis, where Greek strategic cunning and naval combat skills prevailed over the Persian fleet, despite the latter's overwhelming numerical superiority. These conflicts not only decided the fate of Greece, but also shaped the course of cultural and political development in the West. The Greek victory ensured the survival of their democratic ideals and their flourishing culture, whose echoes still resonate today. The Greco-Persian Wars, with their rich blend of heroism, strategy, and historical consequences, rightfully occupy the 5th place on our list of the greatest wars of antiquity. They teach us about the resilience of freedom against oppression, and how a small group of determined citizens can change the course of history. Rank number 4. The Peloponnesian War. In the 4th spot of our countdown, we delve into the turbulent waters of the Peloponnesian War, a conflict that spanned from 431 to 404 BC. This was not a mere battle, but a prolonged power struggle that shook the foundations of ancient Greece. Two opposing poles, Athens and Sparta, clashed in a series of confrontations that would define the course of Hellenic history. Athens, the cradle of democracy and an unrivaled naval power, was challenged by the discipline and military strength of Sparta. The Delian League, under Athenian leadership, and the Peloponnesian League, headed by Sparta, dragged all of Greece into a whirlwind of intermittent conflicts that lasted nearly 3 decades. The war was triggered by multiple factors, including trade tensions, political rivalries, and Spartan fear of Athens' growing power. Throughout the war, strategists such as Pericles, Brasidas, and Alcibiades became names that would resonate through the centuries for their tactics and leadership. The conflict was divided into several phases, starting with the so-called Archidamian War, where Sparta invaded Attica, while Athens used its fleet to attack the Peloponnesian coasts. The war was characterized by its brutality and by episodes like the Plague of Athens, which decimated the population and claimed the life of Pericles, the great Athenian statesman. After a brief period of peace, the war resumed with increased ferocity. Athens suffered a devastating blow with the disastrous Sicilian expedition, where its fleet was annihilated. Finally, the war culminated with the Athenian surrender after the Battle of Aegospotami, where their fleet was surprised and destroyed by Lysander, the cunning Spartan commander. The Peloponnesian War not only marked the end of the golden age of Athens, but also resulted in the general weakening of classical Greece, leaving a power vacuum that would eventually be filled by the Kingdom of Macedonia, under the leadership of Philip II and his son, Alexander the Great. This conflict teaches us how internal struggles can tear apart the very fabric of a civilization, leaving an indelible mark on history. Rank number 3. The Punic Wars. In the 3rd position of our countdown of the greatest wars of antiquity, we find the Punic Wars, a series of three epic conflicts that were fought between two of the greatest powers of their time, the Roman Republic and the city-state of Carthage. These wars spanned from 264 to 146 BC and were crucial for the fate of the ancient world. The first of these wars began in 264 BC, when Rome and Carthage clashed over control of Sicily. For 23 years, battles ensued both on land and at sea, until Rome emerged victorious, forcing Carthage to cede Sicily and pay a huge indemnity. But peace would not last long. In 218 BC, the Second Punic War broke out with the famous crossing of Hannibal Barca, who led his army and elephants across the Alps in a bold attempt to attack Rome at its own heart. Hannibal achieved several victories, including the devastating Battle of Cannae, but he never managed to secure Roman surrender. Eventually, the Roman general Scipio Africanus took the war to African soil, defeating Hannibal at the Battle of Zama in 202 BC, ending the Second Punic War with a humiliating defeat for Carthage. The third and final Punic War was more a siege than a war. In 149 BC, Rome, fearing that Carthage could recover and become a threat again, launched a preemptive attack. After 3 years of siege, Carthage fell. In 146 BC, the city was completely destroyed, its inhabitants sold into slavery, and its land salted so that nothing could grow there again. The Punic Wars not only marked the end of Carthage but also signified the expansion of Roman power in the Mediterranean. Rome stood as the dominant power, an empire in all its splendor that would shape the course of Western history for centuries. The imprint of these wars is still felt today, a testament to the struggle for power and supremacy in the ancient world. Rank number 2. The conquest of Alexander the Great. The silver medal in our countdown of the greatest wars of antiquity goes to the impressive series of military campaigns carried out by Alexander the Great. This young Macedonian king, a student of Aristotle and heir to Philip II, not only continued his father's ambition to dominate the Hellenic world, but also set out to create an unprecedented empire. From his ascent to the throne in 336 BC, Alexander proved to be an unrivaled military leader. His first great feat was to secure the submission of Greece, after which he set his sights on the vast Persian Empire. With a combination of innovative military tactics and a charisma that inspired his men, Alexander managed to defeat the mighty Persian army in key battles, such as Issus and Gaugamela, despite being greatly outnumbered. But Alexander did not stop there. His thirst for conquest led him across the deserts of Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator and founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a major center of culture and learning. He continued his march eastward, reaching as far as India, where his troops, exhausted and eager to return home, finally convinced him to turn back. During his campaign, Alexander not only conquered territories, but also spread Hellenistic culture, merging Greek elements with those of the conquered regions. This cultural blend had a lasting impact on the history and development of subsequent civilizations. The death of Alexander in 323 BC, at the young age of 32, left a power vacuum that his generals, known as the Diadochi, tried to fill by dividing his vast empire. Despite his premature demise, the legend of Alexander the Great endures as one of the greatest conquerors in history, whose campaigns redefined the map of the ancient world and left an indelible mark on the history of humanity. Rank number 1. The Wars of the Diadochi. And in first place, the Wars of the Diadochi, the power struggles that followed the death of Alexander the Great. After his passing in 323 BC, the vast empire he had built was left without a clear successor. Alexander's generals, known as the Diadochi, engaged in a series of military conflicts for supremacy over the conquered lands, from Greece to the Indus River Valley. These wars spanned 4 decades, from 322 to 281 BC, and were characterized by shifting alliances, betrayals and battles that redefined the political map of the ancient world. The Diadochi divided the empire into several kingdoms, among which the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in the Near East and Asia Minor, and the Kingdom of Macedonia stood out. The ambition and thirst for power of these generals led to significant confrontations, such as the Battle of Ipsus in 301 BC, where Antigonus Monophthalmus was defeated and killed, marking a turning point in the struggle for control of the empire. Finally, With the Battle of Corupedium in 281 BC, where Lysimachus died, the wars of the Diadochi came to an end, leaving a legacy of fragmentation that paved the way for future conquests and the eventual rise of Rome as a new power. These wars were not only significant for the scale of the conflicts and the number of combatants involved, but also for the cultural and political consequences they had. The Hellenistic era that emerged from the ashes of Alexander's empire was a period of cultural exchange, scientific and artistic advancements, and the expansion of the Greek language and culture throughout the Mediterranean and the East. The wars of the Diadochi, therefore, represent not only the greatest conflict of antiquity in terms of military magnitude, but also for their lasting impact on the history of the Western and Eastern world. With this, we conclude our tour of the 5 greatest wars of antiquity. We have journeyed together through the pages of history to uncover the 5 greatest wars of antiquity, conflicts that stood out not only for their magnitude, but also shaped the course of humanity. These epic battles transformed empires, shaped cultures, and drew the borders of the nations we know today. Their legacy endures in our traditions, political systems, and the very essence of our society. Before we part ways, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss future journeys through the fascinating stories that history has to offer us. Until next time.